Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Engine House. It's a brand new year, 2026. It's January. I'm hoping, and I know I've said this before, a lot of things go on around here and things get delayed and pushed off, but I'm hoping to make some changes and to this and do a few other things this year. We'll see how it goes. Right now, we're in the dead of winter. And until today, we've only had one day when it got above anything close to, besides teens, single digits, and negative numbers. We've had only one day. I think it got into the 40s and it rained. And the rest of the time, it's been teens, single digits, or below zero. Today, we're in the 20s. So we got kind of a heat wave going on here. Now that the pellet stove is in the basement and it's chugging away and the basement is staying warm, I'll be doing a lot more work down there. As a matter of fact, I've already started. My grandson came by yesterday and hi, Shop Kitty. Come on. Hi. My grandson and my son came by yesterday and we did a little work on the layout. There will be some video shot down there. I don't know when for sure. Right now, everything down there is a mess. I've been putting buildings on the layout. I've been putting some together, haven't, painted them or anything, just putting them together, setting them down to find out where I need to put roads and where the blocks are going to be and where other things are happening so that I can make the adjustments and whatnot. And I've done a few extra things there. I made another layer in one corner for a couple of buildings. It was kind of wasted space. The rails are going to run under it and then back behind the mountain. And again, I'll be shooting a video down there here eventually, just not right now. It's still kind of a disaster down there. It's kind of a mess. With everything going on, getting the pellet stove going and making sure things are happening and the cold weather, I really haven't had time to to clean up the mess. So the other thing I'm doing is a couple of my buildings, my earlier scratch built Hansel and Gretel confectionaries, and I've got that sitting over here, and Granny and Reds. I made those out of cardboard, and they were not bad for a start. That was where I kind of started doing scratch building, getting into it, trying to use different materials and working on a budget, which, that's what I'm all about. Sadly, in New England, in basements up here, a lot of these old basements, especially stone, they tend to get damp. We have a heat pump water heater that takes moisture out of the air. And we, of course, now with the winter, with the heat down there, that kind of keeps it. But the damage has already been done. The cardboard isn't standing up well. So what I did was I ordered a new building for Granny and Reds. It's an apartment building. And it's a 3 or 4 story as a kit online from, let's see if I have this guy's card here. I can tell you who it's from. Decent. You're going to get in the way, aren't you? You're going to be a kitty today. Okay, I'm going to have to find his information, and it'll be up in the corner here when this goes into editing. My wife will stick it up in the corner. I don't have a card here. Anyway, the other thing I did was for Hansel and Gretel confectionaries. All of a sudden, Menards decided to put some of their buildings on half price. Gamer and Thrones, if you're familiar with Menards, and again, I love some of the people who make these names up. It's, of course, a spin on Game of Thrones of anybody who reads George R.R. Martin. I think I might even have some of his books around here somewhere. Well, not in here, but but I thought it was rather funny. But the building went for originally over $100, and they suddenly dropped it to $59. And my wife said, "You better jump on that while you can." So I did, and I decided it got here, and my God, it's huge. It's down on the layout, it's making me rethink a couple of things already. But that is going to be the new Hansel and Gretel confectionaries. It's a nice building. It has a toilet out of the roof on one side that spins around if it's electric. That came off. I took that off instantly. It's got a couple of stickers on it that said Gamer and Thrones. One was on the back of the building. It was a huge billboard looking thing, and the other was on one side. Those peeled right off. The sign above the loading dock said Gamer and Thrones, and the way it's built, I can just cover that up with a new Hansel and Gretel confectionery sign, and that's what I'm going to do. Also, the building had a section. It has the main building and then kind of another section on the back that had you can take it out, so you can run a track in there, and you can have it so you're like loading it indoors. I've seen a couple of buildings that are like that, and once I shoot a video downstairs in the basement, you'll see it, and I'll point it out. So that came the other day, and I'm really excited about that. The other two buildings I ordered aren't here yet. Of course, with the holidays we just had and everything, it's taking a little time, and that's okay. I've got many things to do. One of the things I was doing was I was working on this building here. This is a kit. Excuse me. This was a kit from the 80s, but it's based on an earlier kit, and it was some kind of a factory. I don't know. It's very small as factories go. In actual O scale, this thing would be nothing more than a workshop. But anyway, I decided I was going to go ahead and use it, and I was going to do the Ukrainian flag motif on it. And honestly, I got this far, and I was getting ready to put the window, the cover the windows and whatnot, and I just don't like the way it's coming out. So I'm going to be stripping the paint off of these today and drying them out, and then I'm going to go through a few of the steps here. What I did was I did this, and I will explain. Hi, Shop Kitty. This is the loading dock for it. You can see that. Okay. This, I did not paint this because this is up against the building, but you can see I painted everything else. I still have to, this is supposed to be cement or concrete. I still have to take a pencil and draw some cracks here and there in it, and then I'm going to clear coat it to keep the penciling. But anyway, I like the way this came out. Now, this was a Jason Jensen had once had a couple of videos out on painting concrete foam, and it works on plastic too. It's just a little different on how to make this stuff look like concrete. And I had somewhere along the line missed a step. I don't know how or why, or if I just, but then I watched another video of another gentleman, and I will put a link to his video in here as well, who was showing how he did it, which was very similar, but he did a couple extra steps, and I liked what he did. I liked how he did it. So I tried it on this, and it came out really, really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something very similar with this. I'm going to scrub off the paint. I'm going to give it what it needs, and I'll go through step by step what I'm doing, and hopefully it'll come out better. And I want to say this too, there is no harm. If you don't like the way something is coming out, don't push it. You're not going to be happy with it. I'm not happy with this. It's going to get changed. And whether I have to shoot another coat of primer over this whole thing and start over, or if I can scrub this off, one way or the other, this is going to get changed. So bear with me. I'm going to take these down to the kitchen sink. Luckily, the wife's at work. And I'm going to scrub these off, get as much paint off of them as possible, and then we're going to start over. So bear with me. I will be back shortly. Hi, Shop Kitty. You have to get down now. Love cats. Okay, I'm back. It was a lot more difficult trying to take that paint off than I anticipated. So everything just got another coat of primer. Okay, so this is dry. Oh, we have a plow coming down the road. We had a tiny bit of snow overnight, barely a dusting. I guess they have to earn their paycheck somehow. Hi, Kitty. Okay, so what we're going to start with here, and you might be wondering, by the way, I don't think I've ever explained this, and I don't know anybody who really has. Maybe there are some others out there who have. You always shoot them, especially the plastic. You shoot that with a coat of primer. And the reason is because the plastic, your paint, doesn't really stick well, and it comes out all streaky and looking funny, and it's just the primer binds to the plastic and gives you a decent surface to paint on, so you can, you don't come out with a whole bunch of weird looking stuff on your, on your I can't talk today. What happened, Kitty? You get my tongue? You don't come out with a bunch of streaks and things on your project that you don't really want. And even though I had primed this, the yellow paint I was using, oh my God, I think it was 4 coats, and it still didn't look right. And I just finally, I tried everything, and I just finally said, okay, that's enough. I am not happy with it. We're going to try this again. So what we need here now is a good soft brush for this, because we're using chalk paint, and this is Cocoon, as you can see right here. Okay, it's Cocoon. This will be the first coat. Hi. We're trying to make this look a little bit like a concrete building, and you can also tell I have not used this in a while. I need to take one of these and run it through here. If you don't use your paint for a long time, and I just used some of it the other day, but I didn't mix it like I probably should have. And this is so thick, it does not shake well. So we're gonna give it a quick mix and wipe that off and put it back here. Okay, now, as my grandson would say, I need to get out my grandpa glasses so I can see what I'm doing. And that puts too much of a glare on there. So we're going to leave that alone. Anyway, we are going to go ahead and get started. We're going to put this, and this is very, very thick. Okay, it is not, it's a chalk is what it is. It's like, I guess, for chalkboards, or you can make a chalkboard with it, I think. I'm not really 100% sure. It's just chalk paint, and it's very, very thick. So first, we're going to give this a layer, and you want to make sure it's covered, okay? You don't want to leave anything really showing. And as you can see, I need to clean my mat in here too. Shop Kitty's wanting attention this morning. Yes, you want the attention today, don't you? I see you. You're making biscuits on my leg. You're kneading biscuits on my leg, Kitty. Now, I'm not going to do the window. If I hit it, that's fine. I'll paint over it. It's going to get painted again. So we're not going to worry about that. What I'm doing right now is just to make this look like, this is the start of making it look like concrete, believe it or not. So I'm going to shut up and paint, because this is going to be a very long video if I don't. So the wife can speed this part up, and then we'll come back when we're done with this. Okay, I decided not to paint the rest of the facade here. It'll be painted differently, so we'll get to that in a little bit. Now, and again, this is some really, really thick paint. You can try to get it as thin as possible on what you're doing, but it is harder than you think. And we're going to let that soak. Now, we're going to let this dry, and then we'll come back, and we're going to be using, to start, we're going to be using a dark gray, okay? And then slate gray. Now, if you don't have you can use a darker, just make sure you have a darker and a lighter, okay? That's up to you. I think on this other one, I used a deep gray or something of that nature on this. But this, as long as it's gray, once it's weathered, it's not going to make much difference. But you want to always use a darker and then a lighter color for this. So they'll be gray. So anyway, we're going to stop again for a few, let this stuff dry, and then we'll come back and get back to work on it. Be back in a little bit. Okay, this is now dry, or at least dry enough for the next step. It does not have to be completely dry. These next couple of steps, as a matter of fact, the the paint will not be drying in between. Hello, shop kitty. I came back upstairs while this was drying, and or after I figured this had dried long enough, and she was laying, I had this and my hat in the chair, and she was curled up laying up. Not a happy kitty. All right. My grandpa glasses. I just recently years ago, I had cataract surgery. Then they found out I had Graves' disease, and I had worn glasses from the age of 5 till about the age of 40. And then they had cataract surgery. And then they said, all you're going to need is cheap reading glasses, which I have. But that was over 20 years ago. And I've had 2 eye exams here recently, one 2 years ago and one just recently. And I'm going to need to start wearing glasses again for certain things. I already have a pair in the car for driving. Old eyes. So I have a brand new pair downstairs that I need to put in the car and bring the other pair in for use in the house sometimes, or when I'm going somewhere. Distance is kind of a problem. So anyway, get off topic here. But okay, we want to take a sponge here. I ripped off a piece of sponge. One of these construction. This is used in construction for wiping down mortar in tile and whatnot on the floor, on the wall. And you can see I've got about, maybe not quite a third of it ripped up already. These other types, you have this type, which we're all familiar with. That's hard as a brick unless it's wet. Then you have this type here, which is, some people use these for dishes. I wouldn't use these, okay? This has to be wet because then it's, this is pretty stiff. You're not going to get anywhere with this. And this is just, the fibers it's stiffer. You could maybe, but it's such a pain in the butt. We're not going to try that. We're going to leave it alone. These sponges here for use with mortar are some of the best. So anyway, I'm going to have to get some more dark gray. Hi, kitty. Okay, we're going to put a little dark gray here. We have our folded up paper towel. We have our shop kitty in our lap. I'm going to put a little bit of paint on this, dab it off just a bit, and then let's start here. Now, the video I watched the other day about the new one, the one that's going to have posted here, he said to cover all of this up. Well, I can't see the point in putting that on if you're just going to cover it completely. So I cover most of it, and I want to leave some showing, okay? So similar that I did with this. If you look closely enough, you can still see some of the chalk paint. You can see some here, okay? So we want to cover it, but we don't want to get, and you can ball this up any way you want, and now this one is, the dock goes here. So you can do all the way down. I don't see the point, honestly. It's really not necessary to do all the way down when you're not going to see it. Once I'm done, the dock will be glued to the building. So why waste the paint? If you're in a situation like I am here, the closest place I can get craft paint is either I have to go into Canada or I have to go 3 hours away to Bangor. And the place in Canada is 2 hours away. So I try to make paint stretch. As a matter of fact, doing the ground painting and the layout, and I'll get into that here while we're doing this. We have an off-grid pellet stove, and what was happening was we brought it with us from out west. Out west, they don't have hardwood pellets, they have softwood pellets. And in an off-grid pellet stove, softwood pellets work just fine because there is no auger to feed the pellets. The pellets sit in the, right above the burn chamber and waiting for the pellets below to burn. Kitty, you are sitting right on the paint. I love you, but you got to come here in my lap, sweetie. There we go. Okay. Anyway, when you try to use softwood pellets burn really fast, really hot. That's just a fact of life. That's just the way they are. And we're going to switch now to slate gray. We're not even going to clean this. We don't need to. We're not even going to wait for this to dry. Okay. And we will, though, once I am done with these two, wait for this to dry before the very next step. First, so I want to make sure I get as much paint off of that. Okay. Anyway, the softwood pellets burn really fast, really hot, and they're fine in an off-grid without an auger where they're sitting, because they burn so quickly that they don't have time to start trying to turn into charcoal. Sadly, the hardwood pellets that we were trying to use were sitting there above the burn chamber in waiting, because hardwood pellets burn slower and the heat isn't as much, that they now you'll notice I'm switching things around to letting some stuff somewhat dry. Anyway, the hardwood pellets were just pretty much turning into charcoal and blocking up where the pellets dropped. So nothing was getting into the burn chamber, and it was causing bigger headaches, and it was really worse. So we went ahead and ordered. I like the off-grid pellet stove because it does not require electricity to operate. And in the Northeast and in the Northwest, when you lose power in the winter, that could be critical. So anyway, we broke down and ordered a regular pellet stove. And we got that in December. And my son and I got it down in the basement. I don't even want to tell you the headache that was. But it was. And it's down there, and we got it all plumbed in because it's lower than the exhaust comes out on an electric pellet stove down near the bottom. On an off-grid pellet stove, the one we had, it comes out at the top, so we had to do some modifications. Then there was an issue of there was supposed to be a thermostat to tell the thing when to shut off when it reached the temperature you'd set, and the thermostat was not there. Somebody at the company apparently that was put together and inspected either on a Friday or a Monday. And the reason I say that is everybody who knows, Fridays you're looking forward to getting off for the weekend, and Monday you're recovering from the weekend. So mistakes get made, and it's kind of easy to do. So I had to wait for that. And once all of that was installed, then we had to wait for the basement to get up to temperature and stay at a reasonable temperature. And now I can start working down there. So old houses, stone basement. So now I can get down in there and I can start getting to work on the layout, which is what I've been doing. And okay, we're gonna get this in that corner somehow. Okay, we want a little bit of this. Do I want this brush? No, this brush. Okay. See, this is an area right here that if you notice this right here, the sponge won't get in there. So we're gonna dab that in with a paintbrush, and then we're gonna hit it with this and hit this side. I'm gonna hit a little bit more here and there. Okay. That is step 2 done. Now we're going to let this dry before the next step. Okay, the next step, I had intended for this to look like I'd said, to look like the Ukrainian flag. And that was my original goal. And when I did it initially, as you saw, I did not like the way it looked. So I like the way this came out with the concrete look. And being as I want this to look a little weathered, I don't want it to look quite as cartoonish that it kind of appeared to me that way. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this with the way this is turning out. So as you can see, it looks a little more like concrete that's weathering. All right. If you look, this is what I tell my grandson. If you go outside and look at the world, only fresh concrete that's recently been poured is actually gray. It starts to fade over time with the sunlight hitting it, the snow, the salt, if they use that, or chemicals. It starts to turn a lighter gray and more of a whitish color. And it is not only fresh poured concrete is so if you have a layout and have a scene where you're pouring concrete, well, you want that to be all nice, fresh and gray. If you have a building that is concrete, this and part of this, I'm assuming that's what this was supposed to be. The bottom is cinder block. The rest of it would probably be concrete, since I saw no clapboards or anything on there. So I'm going to call it concrete. this, you hope that this building, especially this type of design, you can see that's definitely, I believe this kit was probably originally 1950s into the 60s. And Bachmann, this was a Bachmann kit, and the box said 1980s, 85 or something like that. So a lot of companies made these. You'll find that in a lot of HO kits. One company will make one will copy it, and there'll be two different, they'll have their, and this was probably put out by another company back in the 50s or something. It could have even been put out by Bachmann in the 50s, and they just updated it, but they didn't update the design, which times change, but apparently some of this stuff does not. Anyway, we're going to let this stuff dry, and I'll be back here in a little bit to take the third step. Okay? Bear with me. Okay. We're back. Hi, kitty. Okay. Now, I'm going to try something here. I'm not sure how it's going to work, but we're going to see. We have, normally when you're painting and you want a weathered look, you go from light to dark on your paints, which is what we're doing here. You can see we have a lighter, brighter yellow and a darker yellow here. So what we're going to do is we're going to try, and we already have it looking a lot like concrete. And again, these are just, there's a lot of steps involved in this. So we're going to go ahead, and then we have the blue. We have a bright blue, and of course a dark blue, which we're going to be using up here. The sponge is still wet, and my last batch of paper towels I had down here, pretty much, I'm going to have to clean my work mat here when we're all done, because it needs a good cleaning. I can't do this with you up there, sweetie. Come on. Okay. We're going to do light to dark. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with dark. We're going to start with a dark yellow, and this is mustard. Okay. So we're going to start with this and see how we got where we are. And we're going to wad this up, maybe peel a little bit more off here and there. And okay, I'm going to wad this up a little bit, dip this here, and do this. Okay, I kind of like that. Let's continue this. So far, I like it. Okay, now we're going to get that, and of course this does not need anything. This will be covered. This actually sets right there. So again, why waste the paint, right? If you're going to do something different, like, you're not going to put this on, well, then go ahead and paint all this, and you're going to put like a ramp or something and steps. If that's what, if you're kit bashing, or you bought one of these kits and this is either missing or broken beyond repair, you can do a little bit of anything. It really, at that point. Okay. And it's all about using your imagination and using, just a little bit of time and energy, and learn a few new things. I'm going to use this part, and we're going to dab that off. Move that back there. And just a tad bit more. Look at that. And again, if you've got a corner to get into, and where was that brush? There's that brush. Okay, there we have the yellow. And excuse me, I normally would go rinse this out and reuse it on the blue, but it is already damp and it takes a while to dry, and therefore I'm going to tear off, if I can, I'm going to tear off another piece here. Well, enough of that, right? Okay, now I can pluck off a few. I'll just give it some character here. And now we're going to go with the blue. I set this yellow aside. And we're going to and I'm not going to, you see, I'm getting paint on some of this here on the side. We're not going to worry about that, okay? That's going to get painted again, so we're not worrying about that at this moment. You can tape it off if you want to, or you can leave it. It really, it's all in the end game is what you're looking for when you do the rest of your detail painting. And hey, we're not even gonna wait. We're gonna jump right into the next color. So we're gonna start with this one, put that aside. And it really doesn't matter which one you start with, you're mixing the paints, so we want to get as much. There we are. Okay. Now we wait for this to dry, and then we do a little weathering, okay? So this is going to be, the video is going to be a bit longer than I normally make because I'm doing the whole process. Some will be sped up. My wife can speed a little bit of this up where I'm not talking. So hopefully I can keep it under an hour. We'll see. Next step is weathering, okay? We'll be back here in a little bit to do that. In the meantime, I'm going to clean up some of this stuff and do something else while it dries. Be back a little bit. Okay, final steps here. Now, in the video I watched with the other gentleman doing this, he used watered down brown paint for some of this next step, or for the next step. I can do that, but I have decided that I am going to try, and I did this on the loading dock. I used, this is a stain that Bruce from Jersey Highlands, Bruce, tried out, and I thought, you know, that might just do the trick. And it's made from coffee grounds. You throw in your coffee grounds you've used from that pot, you put them in the jar, you add alcohol, let it sit overnight or a day or two, doesn't matter. And then you drain the grounds out, and you do this a couple of times. This was 2 or 3 pots of coffee here, which I probably could have done in a day, as much coffee as I drink, but I try to cut down. But anyway, boy, Shop Kitty, you are right here today. What is going on? I should have wanted to change this. Okay. Anyway, we're gonna use this stain here. We're gonna give this a try, and this is gonna. If I can do this with a cat in my lap, we'll be doing good. This just gives it a little extra something here. If it works, it seemed to work okay. It just gives it a little more of a dirty look, and it dries pretty quickly because the alcohol will evaporate pretty fast. So, and you can do this a couple of times if you want to. It's just an extra layer of weathering that I found rather interesting. And again, rather than, I could have used brown paint, but I decided I did it on this loading dock, and I thought it came out pretty good. Now, it might not be the same on the painted, the different colors, painted surfaces, but it'll add a little extra something to it. And then we'll use the black paint that I have also, or actually this is India ink here, this other one, in alcohol, and we're going to use that as another weathering agent. Your tail is dangerous there, Shop Kitty. Hi. So we're layering this on, and if you don't quite care for it, well, you can skip this step, or you can use the brown paint. I'm not really noticing much of a change, but it's like some instruments in a band. You don't know why they're there because you don't really hear them in the music, but they do perform a function. And that's kind of what this does. It just kind of makes it look a little dirtier. These are buildings, after all, that are in an industrial area, and that's trains going by, dirt being kicked up. And there we have that. Now we'll cap this. I mean, it doesn't really do much on there. I can see some of the brown from the coffee in some areas. So it just, again, it's an extra added layer of weathering that you can use. And again, you can use the brown paint watered down, or just skip that step altogether. You're trying to add depth to your project here, and just a flat, what I had originally was just a flat coat of paint with some black I'd done on it, and you saw that it did not look right. It had no real depth. Okay, this gives it depth. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for depth. We're a little bit of realism. A lot of what we do is illusion. We're like magicians in that respect. We work on illusion. And see, this is already well, that's not quite dry. We're going to start with this piece and put these others back here. I went ahead off camera and painted a lot of this stuff off. If I didn't do that, this would be a very, very long video. And I also have a few other things I need to do today. So I'm just trying to get this. And I think this is going to need, well, it may work out all right. We're going to keep going. And I may add a little black, just regular paint to weather, you know, a little bit more. This is okay, but it's taken some of the paint off. That's not what I wanted. And again, this is just an extra added layer of weathering. You can do as much or as little as you want. It really is up to you. Whoops. You know, Kitty, it's awfully hard doing some of this with you in my lap, sweetie. Now, what I really want is a lot of this India ink to get in the seams there on the cement blocks. That's where you really want some of that is to wind up, is because it gives that a little more definition is what you're looking for. And so we're going to redo some of that and get more of that. There we are. Okay, we're going to leave that alone. And the next time you see this, it will be complete and it'll be sitting on the layout. I'm going to still have to put the glass on the windows, and I still have to put the doors in, and there is a small water tower here that needs painted. There is a smokestack here that needs a little painting and weathering, and of course add the rest of the stuff. There's a handrail here that goes on the steps and the doors and whatnot, and then we're going to call it good, but I'm not doing any of that on camera. This video's been long enough already. So, again, this is something I'm trying. I liked it, the way it came out. This and the coffee stain. I did like the way it came out. You can see, move myself a little closer here. You can see on the steps there where the coffee stain kind of stained, whoops, this in here, where there'd be like dirt buildup. And then it did do have an effect on some of this other. It just toned it down a little bit, and it helped make a lot of this look like concrete. So some of this I hope will turn out okay. This one, apparently, I'm going to have to, you can see some of the paint coming off there. The alcohol was actually taking some of the paint off. I'm going to repaint that and leave it alone. But for the most part, I'm happy with the way it came out. It sure does look a lot better than it did. I'm going to hit this one more time. But again, the next time you see this, it'll be done. It will be finished. Except, of course, for detail parts. Those are the things that I'm right now with the fact I can get going on my layout again, thankfully. I have, right now, I'm just getting buildings built and put on the layout to have something there, and I will do some of the extra painting and detail work in between doing the scenery. It's really nice now being able to get back on the layout and actually be able to work down there. That pellet stove makes a big difference. I actually went down there it had gone out overnight for some reason. When I filled it, the flame, something happened and it went out. And I got up the next morning and it was very cold downstairs. The heat pumps were just driving themselves crazy trying to heat the house. And it was very cold. And I went down to the basement and it was 40 degrees down there. Once I got it running and waited a couple hours, it was up in the 50s. As a matter of fact, this morning it's in the 60s down there. Very comfortable to work, very nice. I'm enjoying it. And the repairs that my son and I have made to the damage that's down there has also helped keep the cold air and stuff out. So the next video will be down in the basement. I'll be showing you some of the progress we've made down there. And I might even have my grandson here. He's going to come help me do some work. He wants to learn the scenery. I showed him some stuff yesterday, how to do this, to make the foam board look like stone. And he grabbed that and ran with it. And I was really happy about that. And so I told him that next time, we'll be doing some grass, laying down some grass, ground cover, putting in some bushes and a few other things. So anyway, if you like the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. It helps the algorithm, by the way. It really does. It boosts the video. If you like it, help boost it, please. I'm going to be doing some other things, I hope, this coming spring and summer. We'll see what happens. I'm going to try to change things up a bit. It's just kind of getting stagnant. So I'm going to try to change things up. Things hopefully this coming summer will let me do that. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. In the meantime, bye for now.